Hello, welcome to video 2, episode 2, whatever you want to call it, of my map, my little, I guess you could call it map making series. And I'm here to show you the next set of updates that I have made to this map. And it doesn't look like I did anything really except here, and I'll explain that in a couple seconds. But that's because all of it was just redstone. Yeah. So if you're not into redstone and command blocks and all that, I'd say you could probably just skip this video. But if you're curious as to how I plan on doing this and actually seeing some of this redstone stuff work, then go ahead and feel free to watch this video. Now, right here, you can see that I have these blocks instead of the item frames. That's not necessarily by design, although I do kind of like that. I'm not gonna lie. I do kind of like that, but that's not necessarily by design. It's just that there's a bug in 18A where item frames crash the world, and I actually had to go in. It took me a while to figure this out. It took me a while, but I kept reading the error log, and I finally put 2 and 2 together when I took into MC Edit and seen entities right here. And I knew that it crashed because of an entity being able to spawn, and I was like, oh, okay, so I'll just delete them. And it turned out it was the item frames. So if you're an 14W 18A, make sure you don't play a world with item frames, because you will not be able to play it. It will crash the game. So to show you this next thing, and the reason, and to show you why I'm using 14W18A instead of just going back so I can use item frames and stuff, is because I have it rigged up where when a team is disabled, these lights will turn off. And you can see that these lights are turned off too. Those are on, and those are on, because those are both enabled. These are disabled. And you can see here that that's flat, all flat right there, and those slabs are raised up by 1. That's because the way I had to do it before required me to do it like that, because I couldn't think of another way to do it. But with the new slime block stuff in 14W18A, I'm able to do it like that, and it's actually a lot more simple. So I'm keeping it on this one, and I'm just gonna live with that for now. But that's not permanent. That will change. So actually, before I show that, I'm gonna disable these, and I'm gonna go around and show you. So here's the slime block thing. What's really cool, actually, let me get a redstone torch. And what's really cool is that you'll see that there's one piston here, and I'm sure you've probably seen this already. I mean, Seth Bling did a video, and some other people did videos on this. So I'm not gonna go into too much detail on it. So you'll see that there's a piston here and a whole bunch of slime blocks like that with redstone blocks on top. Now, I'm gonna break this, and booyah! Check that out. Look at how much easier it is to light those than it is for one of these over here, where I had to do all this craziness right here. You'll see if I break that, right, actually let me, right there, those will go up. That'll light the lights, the redstone. So I'm gonna convert these over to that. I just wanted to show you why I kept them there, just so I can show you why I'm using 14W18A, even though it has the item frame world crashing bug in it. So I'm gonna enable these teams back up now that I've shown that, because I think that's really, really cool. So enable all these. Actually, I'm gonna disable one of them for now. So as you can see, actually I'll enable it real quick just to show you they all work. So when you join a team, you're gonna run in here, and it'll pop you up here and put you on a team. Now it does add you to the team. There is an actual team, and I will show you this teams list, and you'll see that all of them are actual teams, and I am on green team. And if I do this, you'll see that I have left. And just to show you, they all work more or less. I'm not going to show you the scoreboard. Yeah, and the radius on this is kind of big right now, and I'm probably gonna have to mess around with that, because I could be out here and still be put in here. So the radius is definitely gonna need changed. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna disable a couple teams. Whoops. Except the red one. So as I showed you before, I'll go in, and the reason why I turned them off when I went under is just so I didn't accidentally get teleported, because when you go into a hut that is not enabled, you will not get added to the team and you will not get teleported up. So, and it's like that for all of them. Now, I'm not sure if this can happen, but unless someone goes into creative, but it may be able to happen, and I'm worried it might be able to, where people will still be able to get up here just because of how comparators work. I'm just worried about that. So I came up with this right here, where it'll say it's not enabled. And the reason why I was originally going to have this get pushed back down, but the thing is, you have to leave anyways. So since you can be up here and you're not on the team, you won't be able to play or anything like that. So anyway, so it just goes down and you leave. And you can see I came up here, and you'll see that when I push it, it goes red team ready, red team not ready, leave. These do work. You can see that the two that aren't actually here, it just says coming soon, because they're not going to be ready yet. These do work, but you're not really going to be able to see it since I have command block output put to false, just because of how some stuff works. The chat just gets spammed over and over again, and it's just not fun to look at. So I'm going to disable that, because now what I'm going to do is come over here and explain how some of this works. I'm only going to go through one, because they're all identical pretty much. They all work the same way. So here, this is the button. It goes into a T flip-flop. That's nothing special. So when you push the button, if the team is enabled, the current will come down and go through this comparator, and it'll say yellow team is ready, and it'll make this. Now this is important. Y start is more or less a Boolean variable, if you want to equate it to programming, and where it'll set it to 1, which means they are ready, which is important when we get down there. And then, of course, that's G star, R star, and B star for their teams. And then if you press it to not ready, you'll see that it says it to false, that they're not ready at all, and it says not ready. Now, if they're not enabled and you push it, what happens is this is testing to see whether or not yellow team is enabled. So as you can see, whoops, I pressed the wrong button. So you'll see that Y enable 0 of 0 is testing to, this is how I'm figuring out whether or not this team is enabled. If it's disabled, it'll be 0. I mean, yeah. Which is why that's lit and that's lit, and power won't get put out because this is stopping it at that comparator. And where instead the power is coming down here into that command block, which says it's not enabled. But if the team was enabled, and actually I should have left the team on, I should have left it enabled. We'll just go to red, because red is, no, it's red's over there, blue's over here. You'll see that it's exactly the same, but now instead of this one being lit, this one's being lit. So that means the current is not going to go in here to tell you that it's disabled. It's going to go through all that, like I said. Now, this up here, this is just a thing to tell whether or not the game has started and it's in progress. Hence the name in progress. So right now in progress is 0. So that's not lit. This is saying whether or not it's enabled. If it is enabled, it's gonna unlight this torch, which means this is going to power, and more or less it's just gonna reset the T flip-flop, because if I do this and the game starts, when you come back and you come up here, this is still gonna be like this, and you're gonna have to unready it, pretty much. So as this kind of like a reset mechanism, so when the game does start, it'll just reset that. It'll say it's not ready, but it doesn't matter because the game already started. What else do I want to show you? I think that's it for this. Up here, I think I've shown you everything. I'm gonna change those over to look like that. I just want to leave them like that just to show you the piston thing. So I'll enable all these. I'll be back up here to disable them. Like I said, the Y start up there is important for down here, because this is where you tell whether or not a team is ready. Now, these are just testing the start ones, and if any of them are true comparators, we'll put it out. So if I come over here, and let's say green team is ready and yellow team is ready. Come down here, and you'll see that these torches are off. Those ones are on because they're not ready still. And what they do is when these turn on, this makes game start, which is basically just it's at, by default it's at 0, because it's counting how many teams are ready to start, pretty much. So at start, by default, game start equals 0. When one team is ready, it goes to 1. It'll add 1 to that. So then over here it'll add another one, so it's actually 2. So game start equals 2, which that becomes relevant when we get over here. And as you can see, this just removes it when they're not ready. It just sets it back. So yeah, like I said, game start becomes relevant over here. Now how this works, more or less, when the required team, now required teams is basically just a way to tell how many teams are needed. It's just a general variable to tell how many teams are actually needed to start the actual game. So as you can see, it's 4 right now because I have 4 teams enabled. So you can see that required teams is 3, and game start is 3. Now the reason this is like that is just because if you have 4 teams, let's say, like I do, you could potentially set this one off. So if I didn't have that test, this being tested right here like this, you could call this kind of like an if statement if you want. If this wasn't being tested, then on any of these, then as soon as 2 teams got started, boom, the game would start, even though 2 teams wouldn't be ready. So by testing, by having a general like how many teams are needed type of variable, you can compare that to the how many are actually ready. So if 4 teams are required, this will turn off, which will allow power to go through once all 4 teams are able to play. That's the same thing over here with 3, and that's the same thing with 2. And this is just a NAND gate, where if any one of these is true, the game will start. And I'll explain all that stuff in just a bit. Or maybe right now. Yeah, actually right now. So, I lied. I thought there was something more over there, but I pretty much touched on everything. So, over here, this is basically just, this sets in progress, and the power goes to all these test command blocks to just test which game type is active, and right now game type 1 is inactive. Yeah, game type 1 is active. I still have game type 2. So yeah, and this is just to simulate the game. This is not like how it's gonna start. This is just to simulate the game and then to show what happens once the game ends. So you'll see that actually you won't. I'm gonna have to change. I'm gonna change it to 3 teams, just so actually wait, who's all enabled? I mean, not enabled, ready. Okay. And just to show you some of the stuff work. So we're gonna disable blue team, and now I'm gonna come back down just to show you how this has changed. So you can see how that was off. That's no longer off. And how now this is on. And this will now allow with 3 teams. So once we get the red team ready, we push the button. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you the actual stuff down there, but I'm going to try and walk you through it. So I pushed this, one of the torches came on, it went through the process down there, and all the teams got reset. Just to try and give you a visual aid of what just happened. So it came on, boom, which went to this one, which set in progress to 1, which reset the T flip-flops, and then the current went to all of these right here, and it's just a pulse pretty much, more or less it's a pulse. So it went to all these command blocks, and only this one is true because that's the game type, and you'll see that elimination is the same, which game type it is, and this sets it. I'll explain that in a little bit. And then it goes through here, it does all the stuff needed to start the game. The game is in progress, blah 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 blah, and then the game ends, which is simulated by this, where once the game ends, in progress will be 0 because the game is not in progress, and game type 0. Now, the reason why I have game type 0 is because when I was testing this, and this is just how I want to set it up. If I didn't want to set it up like this, I wouldn't need it. But because I would need a reset button up there where you just reset it and then select it again. And the reason I need game type 0 is because this is more or less just a pulse. It's one pulse. So when this gets updated and the pulse leaves, this is still on. So if you wanted to play a team elimination again, it wouldn't work because that's already on and there's power going through them. Ooh, I'm sorry I yawned. It's late at night. So yeah, which is why I need this over here, which is more or less just a reset line for all the game types. So since game type is 0, it'll go through, hit this one, turn that off. But in order for it to go back to the game type it was, that's what this is for, because when this turns off, this will turn on, which will make it go back to 1. I'm sure it's, I don't know if I'm making any sense at all. I'm trying to explain this the best I can, and I'm just sorry I'm trying to explain this the best I can. So I think that's pretty much it. That's everything I wanted to show you. Yeah, and like I said, I'm gonna regret doing this because I'm gonna have to manually go back, but just to actually to show you you know what, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna get that wired up first, and then I'll just show you that those two work. But these two both work. It's just simple just set command, so those two both work. Coming soon. Those aren't actually wired up. That's because those aren't ready yet, and they won't be ready for a while. Yeah, so maybe I can just show you this, how I did this. Nothing really to it. It's more or less just adding and removing to a variable. Pretty much. Just it's more or less just changing variables and everything. So it's coming along great. I'm really happy with the progress I'm making. I could probably show you this. Yeah, I don't know why I have no, not that one. That's a little redundant because I plan on putting anyone who joins late to the server to automatically put them into spectator mode if the game's in progress. So that's a little redundant there, but it might just be a nice little security blanket just in case someone does manage to get into the gate or something like that. This one here, it just won't let you, it'll lock it, and this is what I'm worried about, that if enough people get on the server and enough people get in the gate, even if this is in subtract mode, it'll still output to these command blocks. So as just a precaution, I have that little system. Yeah, and I think that is truly it. So as to kind of go on what my next step is going to be, it's going to probably be to make the actual map that you're going to be fighting on. And then I'm probably going to just go back into more redstone stuff, depending on how much progress I make before on the actual map before I make the video. I might try to keep the videos in kind of like a pattern where one is where the first one was me kind of like showing you what I did to the map. The second one is me going through the redstone and explaining it. And then the third one, I'm gonna not leave the redstone out of it and just focus on like what I actually did on the actual map, and then the one after that, and you know, just kind of go back and forth. I might do that. I may not. It just it would just be a nice little pattern. But yeah. So I'm gonna work on the map for both of these, and that will be the next episode, pretty much, or next video, however you want to say it. I'm kind of the design is kind of growing on me. It works for now. I might change the look up eventually, but as for a lobby type thing, it definitely works. And so, like I said, next step is going to actually be building the actual map, and I'm really excited for that. I'm not the best builder in the world, but I just have a lot of fun doing it, and I just absolutely can't wait. So, since there is absolutely, I know I said this a lot now, but since there's absolutely nothing left for me to talk about, I am just going to say that I will see you next time.